All right, guys, we're back again. Homeowner gave us a call saying the three-handle shower valve is leaking, and we're here to rebuild it. We always give the customer two options: either rebuild it or do a rent a plate, which is cut the tile out and put a single-handle diverter. Homeowner decided to rebuild it, saying they're planning to gut the bathroom in a year or so, so there's no point to put a single-handed diverter in. So this is a short video on how to do video for you DIYers. It's not an in-depth, but at least you guys can see more or less what I'm doing here. So first thing is first, take out the handles, and you start taking apart the three handle escutcheons and all that stuff. You have to get to the stems that are inside the wall. You guys are gonna need special tools to do this job. I'm gonna link them in the description below. One's going to be a socket to remove the stems. As you can see here in the picture, the socket that goes into the stem, and that's going to help you remove the stem. You can't use a ratchet and you can't use anything else. You're going to have to use a socket, special socket for the stems. As you can see here, I took out the stems. Save the stems because you're going to have to match them to the new ones. We always take two kits because usually it's either a Gerber or a price fixer in my area, but in your area I'm not sure what you're gonna get, what you have installed, so you're probably gonna have to go to the Plumber Supply and try to match it up to something they carry. So always save them, don't throw them out until you have everything installed and ready to go. So again, once you remove all the stems, I start from the hot side to the cold in this instance, and I start checking. Once I remove all the stems, check inside, make sure all the O-rings, gaskets, whatever is removed. On this one, on the center one, the diverter one, I saw something stuck inside, and look at that. It was an O-ring that was left inside when I removed the stem. So just make sure you check inside there, because if you leave those in there and you put the new stems in, they're not going to work and you're going to have issues. This is another tool you're going to need. It's a seat remover. And 100% always replace the seat, because the seat is what's gonna hold the water from dripping. So if you have a dripping faucet, this is probably one of the reasons. The seat's probably waste. It's all worn out, and the gasket's not, the O-ring's not sealing against the seat correctly. So remove the seats with the seat remover. Give it a little love tap there, just so it could get in there real good and it doesn't strip the seat out, because if you do strip the seat out, you're in big trouble and it's going to cost you a lot to remove it, and in some instances you have to replace the whole valve. So in this one, there's no access from behind, so that's why we're rebuilding it, and it was going to be a little harder to replace it to a single handle. So we remove all the seats, again, save them so you can match them up to the new one. And we're going to start installing the new seats. Don't forget to put some silicone grease on there so they can go nice and smooth. And when you're going to go tying the seats up, just a little snug. Do not crank them. You don't have to give all your strength to tighten them up. Just tighten them up just enough. And then I'm going to start screwing the stems in, as you can see here. Use the tool again. It might be a different size from the one you used before to remove it, but that's why you can buy a set and you have all the sizes needed. Again, use silicone grease on the seats, and I always take the stems apart also and re-grease them, because you never know how long those stems been on the shelf and what type of grease the company used. So I always take them apart, grease them up real good, and then put them together. So here we go. I start putting the seats on for the cold, and this one you can see I'm going backwards because I couldn't find the threads, and you do not want to cross thread these, so just make sure it goes in nice and smooth. All right, so once the seats are all in nice and tight, you can start installing the stems that you matched up with the old ones, and use the socket tool again to tighten up the stems. Again, do not crank them, just enough, tight, hand tight. This is not like you're repairing a car and you have an engine apart and you need a torque wrench. No, just a snug, just enough that's not going to leak. If you tighten it too hard, you might rip up that O-ring, and guess what? You will have a leak. So just snug, like I always say, and then once they're all snug, then you can start moving on to the next step. The next step is putting all the trim on, which is the trim is the chrome stuff that you see from the outside. So you're gonna start screwing the sleeves on. You can see here I'm screwing in the sleeves. Screw all the sleeves in until they're tight, until they can't screw no more. Once you tighten all the sleeves up, they should be more or less all the same length coming out of the wall. All right. So once you have them all tightened down, again, hand tight. This, you don't have to use hand tools. You don't have to use nothing. Just hand tight all the sleeves on first. Once they're fully tightened, turn them, untighten them, so loosen them 180 degrees. Okay, this is very important. This is a little trick that I'm going to throw out there for you DIYers or even plumbers. Maybe you guys do a different way. This is the way I do it. Tying the sleeves all the way, then loosen them 180 degrees. Then you're going to slide the scutcheon on. When you slide the scutcheon on, tying the screw that holds the scutcheon on top. All right. Once you tighten the scutcheon and screw on top, now you can tighten the sleeve, not the escutcheon, the sleeve, 180 degrees again, and the screw should end up on the bottom. That's gonna give you a nice tight fit on the scutcheon against the wall. All right, that's gonna give you you're gonna know it's gonna be nice and snug. You're not gonna have no gaps or anything on the scutcheon, between the scutcheon and the tile wall. All right, so once that's all tying up and you're done with all three, you can start slapping the handles on. Make sure obviously the water's back on and the handles are on the off position, so you can put the trim on the handles, which covers the screw, on correctly. You don't want to have the valve off and the hot or cold symbol is going to be backwards. Okay, so once they're all off, put that cover on to cover the screws up, and do the same thing with the diverter, which is the middle. Put the handle on, screw the screw in, and then you're gonna put the cover on to cover the screw. Usually it has a little arrow pointing down towards the spout or up towards the shower head. This one had like a little design in it, so there was no direction, but the handle itself did the direction. So you see that gap there. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about there. So we're gonna caulk that up, seal it up, and this is how it came out. If you live in North Jersey, need some plumbing work done, residential or commercial, just give us a call. See you on the next one. See ya.